Tena kuyalelo devyo bayeti Amitapendwa ya vintu ifisume vyota kula kwibukisha Kana depotimo Wimbo wa temenu wa katongi Abazunga batita katongi Nakula kwibukisha kateka Kaibukubuna kapona Neseko siove pamenso Yangu ama umebaya Kiyaba Kiyaba ume Kiyaba ume
Kateka wabantu Twakulira lelo twakulira Shika kukonke milimo shove
Ale filamba Fiena minta pengo sile Eti kume mopulo dolole avale Lilo mwingi
Iseko wingi mwakwete Iseso wingi mwakwete Mwaya Mwaya Mwende wino tata wesu
Katusi muchi mokege Wali bomba kale Lomba mwatu jatule lilaki Mupangana chiba
Penda Upanga mwine Kolya mwine Ine lalila Lalila Lalila
Yangu ya mama ume Ala nacho mwabye Mama Ukula bebyo wati dobuingi Ibisebo wapangiri obuingi Ukuchinjo lusako kumoneko busaka Mama Kutituwa basiyani Chagwa katuse
Amana anomazuba kumusanza unoyo hakainde wanoyo no eba la support here support from Southern Province but some people they have given up. When I go to Southern Province, now if someone from Southern Province can give up, are you telling me that someone from Osaka and Chingola can still love him? When you yourself who started loving him before these other provinces started loving him, you've given up. Some of them have, like me, have stopped loving him. Me and my family and other people, we've stopped loving him. Now you think if we can give up, I'm also Tonga because when I'm Tonga, no Tonga, many Tonga were full time Mdala. But I have given up on supporting Hagainde because of my own reasons. So you think the reasons that the other people have for giving up on supporting Hagainde are not valid, such that the other people from other provinces, they cannot buy them. Let us learn to analyze politics. You must realize to say, Mdara, an election can be very disappointing. Ask the people of Kenya. Ask the people of Kenya. The person that won as a president, so let us be very careful as we talk. And let us be exposed. Not to wicked the levels of Southern Province, wicked the Muenda Mumunzi, Mokala, now you and because that village supports Hagainde, you think now everyone else is supporting. That is non-exposure. Let us be exposed. Vamos directa bagalonga. kusika ugambo akakoma buya kwamba kuti why is it that people fail to deliver? They fail to deliver when the head is not functioning very well. If the head is not functioning bagalonga now mutu wa training utaverege, you can't expect the trailers to start moving. These mayors, these MPs and councillors who are not performing, it's because Hakainde himself is a failure. Let us just face the reality. If Mr. Hijirema was not a failure, he was going, because he is aware that in Mazabuka, because the other time he was talking about roads, particularly about Mazabuka, he is aware that there is nothing going on in Mazabuka and he is quiet. It means that is how the West culture is. It's like Bari now is an entertainer who knows how to speak, entertaining people. No, he just entertains people through his speeches. But when it comes to delivering, he is not there. So we should just accept that fact. So those that are saying, the councillor must go, the Hakainde must continue. Do you know where the money comes from? When we talk about infrastructure development, the money comes from central government. Now they said, CDF. And this CDF comes with guidelines. They may release money, and the money that will be released will come with guidelines on how it will be spent. And you can't expect the councillor or an MOP or the mayor to just go against the instructions that will come from the ministry. No, and that ministry receives the instructions directly from the president. So the failures we are seeing now, and even the same money for CDF, there is one pembi, yes, why about 2 times, 3 times. And yet they have kept on increasing money. We've increased the money from this figure to another figure. But they don't release those money. Go and find out how many times CDF Nyagas were where. You will be surprised that yes, the figures have been increased and people have been jumping up and down like toddlers. But there is nothing that is coming out. Bagalonga. So those are the things that we are talking about. Let us not be overexcited like a toddler that has been overfed with milk. No. Let us sit down and analyze these things. We don't just have to do things like so this failure is not for the MOP. The failure is not for the mayor. The failure because the Hakainde told us that Kamubika Chen or not Chen Togaivika Chen Yard Rogupuringa. Bona Jala Uti Iteni Patapuring Kamo Mutu Musavika Wompela Wala Noka. If you want to trailer with the end, Bama Kansala, Batari Gwenda, Bama Mupia, Bama Kansala, Gamu go out to Mutwe, Mutunguandi Uzwa. It is an error for you to say that to go ahead trailer come out, a train end, so that to go ahead trailer, whatever the end. What kind of thinking is that? Would you train the Kamudata Mutu and Kamunguta putting in Guta Dos? Mabika Mutu and Singapore and I would dosa train. Mu UPND is like everyone in UPND now, Mutu and Singa. You talk about a leader at the district level under UPND. It's like Mutu and Singa were training. You talk about the president. He is not functioning. He is not delivering. So failure is all over. And someone is talking about Hakainde Agwenda. God will give us someone that will take it up. Bagalonga.
King Cobra wano mwera nyabuta echechi muguli ya ogujitali yake kutwamba twarusumpu
tema ambassador
so rest in peace wali buti
badara sata in his few years now 2 years yanjagata naho kuzona ganjira bulero you saw a lot of things changing. Many people were saying shatanjira uyoba nkondo uyoba in his talking he sounded as if he's a bad man. But to talk about actions, there are so many things that we can point out now. You talk about Zamuteo. Zamuteo was privatized by Rupia Banda. Sata brought it back. Now, are you aware? Let me tell you one thing. Are you aware that some Stogate or is it Central Province? Are you privatized? Matogate in Genaya. The president of UPND has started privatizing Matogate. Just a target. Just imagine. These are the things that is SATA worked against. When you privatize a national asset, Mudala, you are bringing poverty in the country. It means you failed to run that particular institution. So now SATA, we remember him for bringing back national assets that were privatized by MMD. There are so many things that we can point at, which this particular PF did, more especially under Sata. You can't compare President Sata May. He's so rest in peace with Mr. Hakainde Hichilema. By far, President Sata, he had a certificate only in political science, but he worked like an economist. Now Mr. Hakainde is an economist who is working like a counselor. Failure all over. So these are the things that we are talking about Bagalonga. You can't compare. Maybe who can be compared to Mr. Hakainde Hichilema? Maybe Mr. Lungu. Yes, that's why bari kushupana kwera na bari ele negwera. Tibaka shupana maningi. Bari ele nebonsa President Lungu Mr. Hakainde Hichilema. But all of Lungu umulangiha maningi. You go to Lusaka, you will find a lot of development. Ma bridge all over and other things. So what is it that Mr. Hakainde Hichilema is going to point at? 20 hours or August.
As President Obama said during a visit to Ghana, and I quote, he said, Africa does not need strong men. It needs strong institutions. We must build our democratic institutions to be independent and efficient. Parliament and the judiciary must work independently in the public interest. Leaders must respect their oath of office to respect the Constitution. In our sub-region of West Africa, democracy is backsliding with a return to military dictatorships. Ghana is, however, on a mission to prove that democracy works and that our people can achieve prosperity and opportunity under a constitutional democracy.
Ever be tempted to defect. No one should ever think that plan B kupange palifimbe no kusela. Chwava nkupitulwa kumo. Echipani tulelanda po ocho tulefo kuteka kupoko utungulu chipani chambile na wasata. Chawa no mpashu washika. Chipani washirire warungu. Chipani ndelanda pote chipani chama kudita chama illegal conferences no. Chipani cha shimpile wa Michael Chifasata. Ichi chipani itachakafwe. Takuli court ikepa chipani. Kashi fyose file chitika. Fya matololo fye ushikukesa. Elo chipani ichi. Chikaba fye efo chifuilo kuba. Kashi tuitere ntententa. Tana mapirikiti kula pange padino kula shtefia pisana nishta ya kuikatana no kumono kutila. The due process takes effect, and we just increase the aggression in terms of fighting to get the legal status of the party back. I emphasize nishta ya kuikatana. That's why I do not support any measures that promote disunity. If you we look at the common objective of getting power back. And if we're going to do this fatal election kutila, uwingi ukuluwasi wakwendela kuimina pamu kawine na ukuluwangu kumasa. So was it fair to amnokutila to rely patulula even as we're doing our intra-party processes, because we'll end up weak after the intra-party process and fail to wage the real war that is out there. And so, abale monakwati yo kwala plan B to pangage panichimbi, I am discouraging that personally, and I am saying let us all focus on getting that PF back. And if we are going to get the PF as appearing as a special purpose vehicle and a different name, it shall definitely not be through formation of a new party. The party currently is being led by an acting president, and the acting president is given
February the 11th. Let me just deal with my. Just give me a moment.
ever be tempted to defect. No one should ever think that plan B kupange palifimbe nokusela. Chwava nkupikilwa kumo. Echipani tulelanda po ocho tulefo okuteka kupoko utungulu chipani chambile na wasata. Chawa no mpashu washika. Chipani washirire warungu. Echipani ndelanda po. Echipani chama kudita chama illegal conferences no. Chipani cha shimpire wa maiko tulifasata. Chipani itachaka fwe. Takuli ikoti ikepa chipani. Kashi fyose file chitika fya matololo fye ushikukesa elo chipanichi chikaba fye efo chifuilo kuba kashi tuitere ntententa tuitana mapirikiti kula pange pati no kula shite fya pisana nishita ya kuikatana no kumona kutila the due process takes effect, and we just increase the aggression in terms of fighting to get the legal status of the party back. I emphasize, Mr. Yakwikatana. That's why I do not support any measures that promote disunity. If you we look at the common objective of getting power back. And if we're going to do this federal election, wingi ukulwasi wakwendera kuimina pamu kawine na ukuluwanko komasa so was it fair to amnokutila to rely patulula even as we're doing our intra-party processes, because we'll end up weak after the intra-party processes and fail to wage the real war that is out there. And so abale monakwati yo kwala plan B to pangage panchimbi. I am discouraging that personally, and I am saying let us all focus on getting that PF back.
11th February 2026. Today we are discussing two major issues. One item that is dealing with the electoral process bill of 2025 that the Electoral Commission of Zambia is proposing. I think there are fundamental changes they are proposing that require that we debate. The second one is that the judgment of Daliso Lungu that was delivered a few days ago on 9th February 2026 by the Economic and Financial Crimes Court. This followed an application by the DPP to forfeit the assets of Daliso Lungu regarding the motor vehicles and the property and filling station, which they said, according to the estimation, was worth about $1.3 million, which is 24 million kwacha. There were three presiding judges, Justice Annie Malata Onuji, Justice Pixie Yangailo, and Justice Ian Mabolobolo of the High Court. So they sat as an Economic and Financial Crimes Court and made this ruling. What were the issues? Just a minute. I'll be discussing this matter from the context of the law, the Forfeiture of Proceeds of Crime Act of 2010, that fundamentally changed the way you deal with private property in relation to suspected proceeds of crime. It shifted the burden from the state to the individuals. From the onset, I was privileged to have commented about this particular law in 2009 and 2010, when the Minister of Justice was pushing this law. I made a comment and I even did a write-up. I said this was abrogating fundamental human rights because it was deeming that you were guilty before you can prove yourself innocence. Because the way the forfeiture of proceeds crime is crafted is that in the mind of an investigator, he can just deem that your property, your car, your vehicle, your house is proceeds of crime because he says you're a teacher. How can you earn this? Before they even find out whether you have a side hustle, whether you are supported by maybe your wife, whether you have inherited, they can just look at you by discretion and seize your assets. They can restrict, seize your asset under that law. And for me, I have always held from 2009 that this law abrogated the fundamental human rights, your right to innocence, your right to holding property. Yes, we need to fight the fight against financial crimes. It's very important. And this law arose from the UN, Crimes Against Corruption Convention, the Anti-Corruption Convention by the United Nations. And for Zambia, the law was tweaked a little bit. They didn't need to secure your conviction. They can seize your asset. They can restrict your asset. They can take away your assets without criminal conviction, without establishing where you got the money from. They can simply assume any other money is proceeds of crime. That's where the danger of the law is. So as we discuss a matter regarding Daliso Lungu, where a 3-panel judge delivered and made him surrender the properties of a filling station, of some apartments and motor vehicles. It has brought a lot of excitement by people. For me, I want to look at the law. I want a law like it was before. Convict someone, establish a crime, demonstrate where they've stolen from. Do an audit, establish where the money is stolen from. Look at the case of Bowman Lusambo. Bowman Lusambo was minister for Copperbelt and was minister for Lusaka. He's been jailed for having proceeds of crime. There is no single audit that implicates him at Ministry of Lusaka, where he was a provincial minister. There is no case that implicates him in Ndola. The law simply says, Bowman, you were earning so much and you've built a house, you've built another house in Chongwe. These are proceeds of crime. And I'm calling it abuse because it is being abused very extensively. If we are worried about proceeds of crime, you'd ask UPND officials, all of a sudden have large tracts of farms, all of a sudden have joined President Hakainde Hichilema as ranchers. They're buying centrifugal center pivots, they are buying tractors, they are buying cattle. Whether you take the money to Big Daddy in Helen Kaunda, or you buy cattle and put it at your farm in Chongwe or Mkushi or Kalomo, proceeds of crime should be proceeds of crime. My contention is that this law prejudices you that you are guilty before the state can even prove your innocence. In fact, the burden has been shifted to you. That is the purpose of our discussion today. Yesterday, I did a write-up and people said, why don't you expand on it? I narrated how we had been building the Patriotic Front from 2002. You will remember, colleagues, that the late President Frederick Chiluba fell out with his successor, Levi Mwanawasa. We had gotten from obscurity. The man had resigned as vice president in 1993. So President Frederick Chiluba proceeded, to appoint other vice president, including Enoch Kavindele. After Levi Mwanawasa resigned in 1993, he appointed General Mianda as his vice president. who was national secretary of the party. He later appointed General Christon Tembo. And then at the last minute, when there was that rebellion against the third term, he appointed Enoch Kavindele. So Levi Mwanawasa was in obscurity from 1993. He tried to stand as a member of parliament to defend his seat, member of parliament for Chifubu, and he didn't win. He was in obscurity, even fighting for his health and life, and Dr. Chiluba was very instrumental in ensuring that President Mwanawasa was saved from the troubles of his health by constantly evacuating him to South Africa. So he was plucked from obscurity in 2001 when the third term ripped apart the party. There was Christon Tembo who formed FDD with a bunch of MPs. There was General Christon Tembo who formed another party called Heritage Party. And the only man standing at the time was Mike Osata, who was national secretary, and he had expelled everyone. It's good to talk about history. I get animated when I'm speaking about the history of our country. And Sata expected that he was the only standing strong man. But when they held the National Management Committee, in fact, Eric Sluamba was leading. And Dr. Chiluba had other names. There was Emmanuel Kasonde, former businessman and former finance minister who had started in the first cabinet of Dr. Chiluba. There was Michael Sata, there was Eric Sluamba, there were others. There was a first, second ballot, and Eric Sluamba withdrew. And for one reason or another, Dr. Chiluba brought in the name of Levi Mwanawasa. The people were surprised. He said, no. Levi has written me a 3-page letter. I have seen that letter. 3-page letter in which he's asking if he could be our presidential candidate. So he has applied, but people didn't see the letter. But Dr. Chiluba then dropped in. And when it comes from the president, when the matter comes from the president, so the entire management committee voted for Levi Mwanawasa, and they had to wake him up in the night, the story, where he had to come to the Central Committee. It was called, the MMD calls it the National Management Committee, NEC, National Executive Committee, NEC, to come and accept that appointment. When they went into campaigns, there were a lot of ridicule against Levi Mwanawasa. The MMD had served 10 years. Chiluba was no longer standing. The third term had divided them right in the middle. And Levi Mwanawasa was an unpopular candidate. People mocked his structure of speech. Remember, he was in a terrible accident in 1992, an accident that nearly took his life. Actually, 1991, because Dr. Chiluba was taking his first international visit to Burundi and Rwanda when that accident happened. And Dr. Chiluba, the accident occurred when Levi Mwanawasa was seeing off the president and he was to be acting president. So he saw off the president. The president took off to Burundi, to Bujumbura. And when Levi Mwanawasa was coming from the airport, apparently half of his convoy vehicles had been taken, we understand, to Ndola. I think the second lady had traveled to Ndola. So there was not enough covering, and this Land Cruiser that was rushing to pick one of the ministers at the airport had a head-on collision with Levi Mwanawasa, the vice president, now acting president. And the accident was so terrible. So when Dr. Chiluba landed in Bujumbura, he was told that there's been a terrible accident and your vice president, acting president, is battling for his life. So Dr. Chiluba immediately made a U-turn, flew back into Lusaka, directed that Levi Mwanawasa be evacuated to South Africa, and that's how his life was saved. Arising from there, President Mwanawasa, remember, the stutter that he had grew in his speech. The two had been friends and colleagues and lawyer and client for many, many years. They were close friends. So the people that knew the two didn't wonder that Dr. Chilwa had to go back in light of the crisis he faced. He had to go back to his erstwhile friend, Levi Mwanawasa, who was his lawyer, who they had come to build the MMD together. Remember, he was his running mate, vice president in the party, and he was appointed as vice president of the country. So people understood, but Mwanawasa was very unpopular in 2001. But here is a trick. As soon as Mwanawasa won elections, he realized he needed to distance himself remarkably from President Chiluba. So he started this anti-corruption fight. And sadly, it targeted Dr. Chiluba. There was an account in London that was run by the intelligence code Zambia Trans Overseas Account, famously known as Zamtrop. And there was, over the years, $42 million in that account. And the people that leaked the document found that Dr. Chiluba had made personal expense from the intelligence account. Zambia and the Zambia National Commercial Bank, we had a branch in London. We had the branch in London for various issues to collect our copper sales from the sale in London. We were running the entire infrastructure of the economy at the time. Memako was the one selling our copper. So you had various companies associated with Zambia or by the Zambian government that were based in London for purposes of our copper and value chain purposes. So Zanaco had the branch in London. So, but in there, a whistleblower leaked that there was this Zamtrop account, the Zambia Trans Overseas Operation account of the intelligence, that had over the years accumulated $42 million. And someone found payments, some going to Swiss tellers. Dr. Chiluba, you know, his height and his stature, he was extremely of small stature. And he needed to have custom designed clothes. And, you know, with that stature, you can't find a good suit, you can't find a good tie, you can't, because then you, unless you go to the, let me not go there. So he has always had tailors. Of course, when he became president, he had a Swiss tailor. So there were these payments that were made to his Swiss tailors over the years, some payments that were made to various people that he supported, including some children who were in London in school, and he made some payments. So there was excitement. The Zamtrop was leaked, and it made headlines not just in Lusaka, but in London, in New York, in Beijing, in South Africa, that Dr. Chiluba had stolen $42 million. Mwanawasa had to go to Parliament and allege a raft of charges against Dr. Chiluba. But here is a turn. During the long years of prosecution of Dr. Chiluba, the courts required that an audit was done. You just can't say the man got the money. Who got the money? Who signed for it? Who collected the money? Where was it paid? So the audit was done. There was Mr. Siame, who was former Auditor General. He did an audit and he established that Dr. Chiluba had not abused any money. In fact, he had found that, in fact, Dr. Chiluba had his own money in the account, $8.5 million. You may remember, the young people may not remember, but you may remember that Dr. Chiluba was setting up an institute that upon retirement, he wanted the Democracy and Labor Institute. He had been a Zambia Congress of Trade Union president for 17 years, from 1971 until he became president in 1990. And also, he was the spearhead of democracy in Africa. So he thought that he could set up a regional institute which should teach his love for labor matters, and also just democracy and, you know, its dynamics in Africa. And he was to be, with the management, he was supposed to be the chancellor of that institute. So he was raising money from his friends, his colleagues. The audit established that he had some money from Libya, from Sudan, from Angola. When you are president, they can gift you. For whatever reason, the intelligence had probably advised the late president that to escape scrutiny or financial attention where these gifts are coming, put it in the intelligence account because it has that security feature, and it's a ring-fenced account. It doesn't submit to certain laws because it's an intelligence and operation account. For that reason, whether that reason was justified or not, the country never heard that story. They, in fact, fired Mr. Siame because they thought he's too loyal to Dr. Chiluba. That's why he's making these funny findings to justify the theft of money from the Zambian treasury. So they engaged reputable audit institutions. So Price Waterhouse was engaged, and Grant Thornton UK, not Zambian one, UK, because the account was domiciled in London. And the two institutions did thorough audits, and they came to the same conclusion, that Dr. Chiluba didn't steal the money. The money went, $25 million went to a security firm in the US that did security upgrades at State House, at the Intelligence, Ministry of Defense, Supreme Court, International Airport. Another $15 million went again to another company for some work. The money that remained was all coming down to Chiluba's money, $8.5 million. But all this was lost. Probably one day when we are looking at the history of our country without the lenses of politics, the facts will emerge. If you remember, if you've read the London judgment by Judge Peter Smith, he found Dr. Chiluba liable. It was a civil case. But he said, although the monies were paid to these security companies to do the work they did, Dr. Chiluba had the fiduciary duty. Look up that word, fiduciary. A lot of people know other duties, but there's a fiduciary duties. Accountants and economists know that word. So they said Dr. Chiluba had the fiduciary duty to look after the state of the country's money, and he shouldn't have allowed that expenditure. So for that, the Judge Peter Smith found him liable, and he says he should pay for the money, even if it didn't come from him, even if he didn't benefit from it. They said because he had the fiduciary duty to take care of it. Dr. Chiluba's assets were seized. His property, Horizon Building, the building at the roundabout near Pamosi Hotel, some cars, and a lot of properties. To date, you see every time there's a memorial for Dr. Chiluba, you hear the family demand that government must return the assets of Dr. Chiluba. They are not asking for favors. They are not asking that the forfeited assets, the house on Sevo Road, the flats that are opposite Pamosi Hotel, they are at the roundabout, the house where the UN sits, I think it used to sit on Leopard Zoo Road, and the other property, they had the farm in Kasama that previously belonged to Emmanuel Kasonde. The family says return those assets have been forfeited to the state. Why? Because there is this $8.5 million that was found for Dr. Chiluba in the Zamtrop account. The prosecutor, Mtembo Nchito, and the other prosecutors insisted that the financial regulations in Zambia say money in the government account is government money, it's public money. That was what he hinged on. He said it doesn't matter where the money has come from. So if you have made a mistake, you have put private money into government money, you have forfeited that money. That's why there's this issue around Dr. Chiluba and his property that it should be returned to the family or to the next of kin or to the surviving children that are there. The issues around presidents are complex because as president, you are running a political party. Even just these opposition leaders, you'll be surprised the amount of money they are receiving. They are not presidents, they are opposition leaders. You'll be shocked that the monies they are receiving just to run the campaigns is already running in millions of dollars. Why? Because we have not set up a proper law to regulate political financing, electoral financing. We have not set up laws around gifts and donations that should regulate. There's a huge debate here in the United States where Qatar has gifted the president with a $400 million plane, a Boeing 747, one of the last beautiful ones. They call it a flying palace because of the amount of luxury the plane has. And the FBI have taken over now with Boeing, and they're upgrading it now to make it Air Force One. The law is very clear here. You cannot receive a gift that is more than, that can be constituted as an act of corruption. The value should be minimum. They have an elaborate set of law to regulate campaign finance, political donations, donations to public officers, donations to the president. But even with that tight law, there is this gift that America is discussing. And it's saying, what does Qatar want in return? And there's even another proviso. That plane, when the current president leaves office, it will be migrated to his office of former president. Remember here they set up institutes, libraries, presidential libraries. They set up, the former president's office is called by various issues, but essentially a library. You set up a library and you are entitled to, for life briefings, intelligence briefing, security from the VIP protection unit. You are entitled to finance for travels, local and international, and you can then put up to memorialize your stay in office. In Zambia, we have none of that. So because our people are not aware of what happens, that's why they can get shocked that Daliso has 79 cars. In fact, to my knowledge, these were cars for the party. The state has seized over 230 vehicles for the Patriotic Front, including the vehicles under Daliso. But no one stops to ask that Hakainde Hichilema in opposition bought 10 vehicles for each province. He bought 116 vehicles for each district, that he bought 156 vehicles for each constituency. Then he had a raft of vehicles that supported his campaign in Tuareg and some of his seniors. No one asked Hichilema where he got that kind of money to buy the vehicles. No one asked what has happened to those vehicles. If they reverted, because none of them were registered under UPND, for obvious reason. If I have to send vehicles to Lusaka for my campaign, and I say they are PF, they'll be seized. So we register them in individuals we can trust. Because that's another matter. Presidents are crooked all the time. They are scammed. Because they will register maybe 10 vehicles in this guy's name. And the guy will defect to the UPND. And where will the president go and complain to? Nowhere. So president has scammed several times. I've worked with presidents very closely. And I know which presidents have lost a lot of money because they trusted third parties. We'll be opening phone lines. I just thought we could speak very broadly about the murky place of politics where our politicians find themselves in a lot of money. And like I said, you'll be shocked how much just opposition leaders are receiving right now. Because they have to run an election. They have to get to supervise 12,150 polling stations across the country. They have to mount a campaign in 156 constituencies. They have to have a presence at 116 districts and 10 provinces. and they have to hire security for their presidency, whoever is pioneering the campaign. There is a lot of money in politics that you never get to see or discuss. So when you present the case of Daliso Lungu in this narrow window, for me, I think that we should look at it in a broader view. It brings to urgency the need, number one, to reform our law. Number two, to provide for proper regulations that should guide electoral financing, campaign financing. Number four, donations and gifts that are given to presidents. In my write-up, I explained that Dr. Chiluba when Dr. Chiluba switched sides in 2008 after spending 8 years building the PF and making the PF the largest opposition party in Zambia. He helped. Of course, you can't take away from the maverick himself, Michael Sata, because Michael Sata was a media machinery, was a mobilizer, was a campaigner. So imagine that marriage with Frederick Chiluba. That's why they grew the party from nowhere to become the largest political party in 2006, displacing UPND that had become the largest, second largest political party in 2001. But by 2008, Chiluba and Sata fell out, and Chiluba decided to go and work with Rupia Banda. And when Rupia Banda won, it was a few days in office, Dr. Chiluba went to see him. Dr. Chiluba's spouse, Mama Regina Chiluba, was convicted of receiving a gift, a TV, a large screen TV from Dr. Chiluba. And they said it was not cleared, it had come from, I can't remember, from a European country, and that the funds, as usual, were proceeds of crime. So that TV was seized. It was a big issue the entire time Dr. Chiluba was in court, and they convicted Madam Regina Chiluba for that. But she appealed and won that case. But it is in the middle of that case where she had been convicted and she had appealed to the High Court that Rupia Banda won, and Dr. Chiluba went to visit him. Rupia Banda couldn't help but laugh about that case. He said, if I was not president, if I didn't become president, I would not know how ridiculous the charge is against your wife. Here, he had 5 big flat screen TVs. He says, the people know I love football. I have just won an election. I haven't even settled. Already, I've received donations of 5 television sets. What about you, who was president for 10 years? And your team is Arsenal, you loved Arsenal. Everyone knew that you can't disturb Dr. Chiluba when the English League is going on. He was a local supporter of Unkana, but he was also a supporter of Arsenal. Remember when we made his T-shirt, Bali One? Before the UPN even copied who Bali One was in 2010, I had made the T-shirt for Dr. Chiluba called Bali One. Those that follow current issues would remember. So Rupia Banda laughed at this. He says, if I didn't become president, I would not have known. The case you have against your wife would not have made sense. I would probably have agreed with your prosecutors, with our prosecutors, that she received. But here I am. Why do these men and women in Lusaka do this to our presidents? Our presidents are considered as kings. People take homage gifts. Why? Because the president can decide the fate of your country. So the large businessmen want to be in good books with presidents. So they take gifts, cars, they take TVs, whatever. Contributions to the party. You have a by-election, they bring sacks of money. There is no law, no regulation, no structure that should regulate this which you ordinary people are not aware of. So the forfeiture of this law just a minute, I want to quote it properly. Forfeiture of Proceeds of Crimes Act of 2010. So the Forfeiture of Proceeds Crimes Act, FOCA, number 19 of 2010, empowers the state to seize, freeze, and forfeit your asset if they suspect, it just has to be a suspicion, that it has been derived from criminal activities such as corruption, financial crimes, and money laundering. It enables both conviction-based and non-conviction-based civil forfeiture to recover the property. And if a criminal conviction is not obtained and the court is just satisfied that on the balance of facts, the assets are tainted, they still can get it from you. What does this last line mean? So you have a house that you've held since 2007, and for one reason or another, you rehabilitate it. And an investigator comes and says, no. Yes, this is your house from 1997, but the rehabilitation cost more beyond your income. So they can seize your 1997 assets because they will have regarded that the renovations for you have added a new bedroom or a new bathroom, and they think that that money is from proceeds of crime. You lose the entire property. Now, seizing Daliso Lungu's assets would not be a problem if it was being done fairly. Remember, we seized a $50 million plane from those Egyptians, forfeited to the state. 2 months later, it was released to the Egyptian, a $50 million asset, and the Egyptians were released. This plane was not just impounded, it went through the entire process up to forfeiture stage. It was forfeited to the state. And some wise man thought the $50 million plane, the Bombardier plane, should be released to the Egyptians. When you apply the law unfairly, this is why people ask. I just told you that President Hakainde Hichilema received donations. He had 156 vehicles for each constituency. He had 10 vehicles for each province, a vehicle for each province. He had a vehicle for each district, 116. Do you know whose name those vehicles are registered? That's over 300 vehicles. By being malicious, grabbing these vehicles registered under Daliso, the other ones under another supporter, another just businessman, they've rounded up over 300 vehicles for the PF. This is to cripple the PF. People don't see it. It's to cripple the mobilization capacity of an opposition party. By virtue that the 49 cars were registered in Daliso's name doesn't mean they were his vehicles. These are vehicles that were used in the campaign. And like I've said, politicians, both public, current in government and opposition, receive a lot of money for mobilization work. I haven't seen a politician who uses their money. They don't. They use donations and gifts to their cause. So broadly, we need to look at it very differently. The Electoral Process Act, before I open their line, there are changes that ECZ is proposing, including that a Secretary General must be registered with the Registrar of Society and is the only one then authorized to sign on those adoption certificates. You know where that is leading to. Because such a Secretary General can be compromised at the last minute and you can be excluded from an election. What was the law before? The law before was that any person authorized to sign, so it could be a district secretary, a ward secretary, a provincial secretary, they're the ones that were empowered to sign the adoption certificates. This new law is providing for the Secretary General, not any other Secretary General, one who is registered with the registrar of societies. And if he's removed a week before election, the registrar of society might not even hear your case because sometimes they sit once in 3 months. I think Mingala Tuesho. They are trying to remove the security features of a ballot paper, the watermark, and the other security features that are on the ballot paper. Why do they want a paper that should look like an A4? We want to Akwalisa, pay attention what's happening at the Electoral Commission of Zambia. And I'm glad that a few members of the opposition led by PF, Socialist Party and others went to ECZ and made their submissions. But sometimes ECZ uses these submissions as window dressing and they proceed to enact the law that they had intended to. Unless there's public pressure, unless there's attention from you, we may have a big problem. The lines are open. It's midday, which is 21 hours in Zambia. Please make your contributions.
I think most of you are avoiding to talk about it. In Isoka here, maybe we're not aware. It has been political. In political in such a way that it somehow belongs to certain individuals that are untouchable in Isoka.
Can't you bring that in your closing remarks? You'll be given time to talk about it, because this time we're talking about questions.
I think it's important, sir, so that people are aware, they understand exactly what
You'll come to that. You'll come to that. Let's just follow the pace and flow of communication. I know that is a governing statement you want to bring.
I'm the one who's on.
But I'm the chair. I'm the chair.
I'm trying to respond.
Let's sit down. I'm saying I'm a chair. There is no question that has directly come to me.
It's not. I'm not answering any questions, sir.
Yeah, but why are you addressing us? Because it's only who should address you. Unless you are given time to speak.
I'm bringing something on the floor.
Are we arguing?
Isoka.
Are we arguing?
No.
Sit down. Sit down, sir. No problem. You'll lose
Sir,
nothing.
you've been coming here, people are raising questions of stolen fertilizer.
No, they haven't. No one has raised that
No,
question.
you came. Previously, you were in Isoka here. Placards were being raised. They are being raised that is this
We are going
fertilizer.
to confuse everything there. If at all you want to declare interest, leave and be there. I want to interact with these people.
Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from. You are the first caller.
Good afternoon or good evening, Ambassador Mwamba. Let me remain anonymous.
Anonymous, make your contributions.
Thank you so much for a very educative explanation that you've given regarding our, history as when it comes to political parties receiving donations. And I really appreciate the things that you've spoken about regarding Dr. Frederick Chiluba. We have a problem in Zambia, Ambassador, and as long as this issue is not dealt with, we are going to suffer as a country, first of all. My worry is when I see, what this government is doing through ECZ, and then you have Zambians that are actually supporting this. It reminds me of a story that I read about, a bush was set ablaze and the grasshopper was complaining about the fire that was coming towards it. Then the other animals were laughing, not realizing that the very place that is being bent is also the same place that provides food for them and also where to stay. What we are experiencing, what ECZ is doing, is the same thing that they talk about in Hesti Mingalato. That's what we are actually experiencing. And it's so dangerous. I don't know when we are going to wake up as a people. Everything, when UPND began to do what they were doing, everyone was like, oh, it's targeting PF, it's PF. But the outcome of an election ultimately does affect the economy, because you are defranchised from having a right to choose a leader of your choice. This is what this is all about, and this is the danger that is there. This is against democracy. ECZ must facilitate an election. They should not be seen as an organization that is determining the outcome of an election. This is what they've been doing. And until we wake up as Zambians and demand what is right, we'll continue going through these challenges. Those that are celebrating these changes, as you can see on social media, it's just a matter of time. You will experience what we are fearing. The very things that, our forefathers spoke about, they'll catch up with you. This is so dangerous. This is very, very bad for our democracy. And, I feel for this government. I know they will not be in power in perpetuity. They can do whatever they want to do. But the day of reckoning will be very bad for them. It will be very, very bad. They will actually wish they never, ever go to power as a government, because it will be bad. As I conclude, when I look even at the seizure of the property to ECL's family, this actually brings me to one thing. When this government talks about, they want to bury ECL with dignity, they want to give him, this funeral and that, it doesn't really make sense for me. This is the hypocrisy I talk about. You are busy calling this person a thief. Again, you are claiming his body. For what? This is very sad for the nation, and it's sad that we have people that are celebrating such things happening in our country. I thank you.
Thank you very much. That was our first caller, Anonymous. Make your call. Today's broadcast will not be very long. I thought that we could discuss this issue of the assets that were seized by the courts, the financial crimes court that were seized against Daliso Lungu. And I was giving context that first of all, this law is very bad because you are guilty before you are innocent, and the burden has been shifted to you from the state. Instead of the state establishing a crime, establishing where the money was stolen, establishing who the complainant is, they can just say you have stolen property or tainted property and you can lose that property. It's a very, very dangerous law. A lot of people don't realize that. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
Anonymous.
Anonymous, make your contributions.
Yes, I'm calling from the Copper Belt.
Thank you.
It is sad, Mr. Mumba, that we have a government that is not ready to come out of government because they know they've already committed a lot of crimes. And now they want to use the institution of government to retain power by hook or crook. And for the most part, it's by crook. Because clearly what they are doing, all these electoral changes that they want to make, these are things that they would have rejected if, say, PF or any other government was in power. And we know the UPNDs, how they behave towards anything that was proposed previously. And this is not an exception of what they would have rejected. But, time will tell. This may increase their evil to a point that even their supporters one day, if they go through, for which I believe they will, looking at how they want to curtail the elections and, ensure that they bounce back, they'll commit more crimes and more evil that it will be apparent even from themselves, the supporters, because supporters are supporting based probably for the most part, allegiance to regional allegiance and all those things. But when it comes to hunger or when it comes to cost of living being high, we all face it. But the problem is politicians as well. It's not that politicians don't want to talk. From what I'm seeing, politicians want to talk. Everyone wants to talk, but they want to be so sensitive about about what they say, because any little slip you make, you find yourself somewhere. They'll create a case out of that, cyber, anything, provide evidence, and you go. So the top leaders that we have are also, looking so carefully the ways that they say, even to a point where they cannot guide the people on the ground properly, because they just want, let time come. Let that time, we will get closer to the elections, and then probably that's when we'll start speaking. But it will be too late. Them, they are doing their groundwork, and their groundwork is not really that groundwork of, campaigning to the people. Is to cement the system of electoral management to a point they know for sure that we'll have a grip. If, like the previous caller contributor was saying, if they just manage, or like I think it's you who said, they'll just disenfranchise, or maybe they just corrupt the SG, and the SG doesn't give anyone an adoption certificate for a party which is well registered, because they are studying all the parties. There's of course FDD. They know that this may be a force to reckon with. There's CF. There's all these other parties. So they will make sure that they've already scanned and seen which party has an SG, which party doesn't have an SG, which was not a requirement previously. So why are they bringing things that, as we're getting closer to the election, new things? Why can't they wait? They did it with Bill 7, and now they're doing it with the rest of whatever they would want to use. But it's sad, and I hope that if they will continue in this path of evil, let them win. Because, I've never heard of anybody say somebody Fidavaranda in Bemba that ala ukukulenda lama jakula mubanki atimbanda lama na shota mubanki because somebody alikula muikalenda lama shishing. Nobody, no, the party wango winga stamani to kiam people. Same na ifuveni fuvan. They will try their best to do all the evil that they want, but God is also watching. Besides us people seeing all the evil that they are doing, because the evil they are doing is so apparent that even a fool would know that this is some tricks. So we will wait, and we hope that our politicians, opposition political leaders, will group together somehow, at least to a large extent, and work fearlessly to remove this government. Thank you very much, Mr. Mwamba.
Thank you very much, caller. Thank you. Hello, caller. Tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Good evening. Is it morning? Ambassador Mwamba, this is Sensho Banda.
Sensho Banda, thank you very much. Honorable, make your contributions.
Yeah, Mwamba, Zambia is a crossroads.
Yes.
And we should have been advancing the cause of democracy. But we have a government whatever it wants, it gets. If you look at any legal reforms in as far as they concern the elections, they have their way. For example, you have institutions of governance, and this is and so on and so forth. How it comes in cyber, the constitution, they had their way. The election proposal which is being made to remove the security feature. The question which I may ask is that a ballot box, a ballot paper without an official mark is like a currency not without watermark. If we do not accept plain paper money, accept plain paper votes for the presidency and the parliament, so for me, where that paper came from. So for me, before the people decides, removing that feature out paper. So for me, it's quite a bad. Tomorrow, they must think through that there is a life after being in government. They must take choices. In as far as decisions are, that is that they must show this work, or as far as tax should never be, or and for what reason? Presentation do the way they want the one. I think you remember.
Thank you very much. I think we got Honorable Sencho Banda, although the line was cutting, was a bit poor. Colleagues, today we are discussing the Forfeiture of Proceeds Crimes Act of 2010, the one that has shifted the burden from the state, which is supposed to prove that you've stolen, which is supposed as machinery to establish where the money has been stolen and to convict you. Instead, they can act just merely on suspicion and put you through a short civil process, and your assets, your property can be taken away, as has been shown. And I spent time to discuss that in the absence of financing, in the absence of financing, in the absence of proper laws regulating campaign financing, electoral financing, election financing, you are in dangerous grounds, because these leaders who lead campaigns do not get money from their pockets. They receive donations, and these donations are not regulated by any law in Zambia. That's why there's been call for the political party to the political party act to be actualized, where even campaign finance can be established. There's even like it happens in other jurisdictions like South Africa, that political parties must be supported. For example, their secretariat and their general conference once in 5 years must be funded. There's that proposal under the political act that is under. But in the absence of that, you are in murky ground, and that's why it is easy for the state and for President Hichilema to abuse this law. And just briefly, see what he has done to the family of the late president. The president was not allowed to travel on time for his medical treatment. The late president has not been buried to death. They've taken away the seat for Tassila. Now they've taken away the assets associated with Daliso Lungu. And like I can tell you, just like President Hichilema, where are his motor vehicles registered? If you go to RATSA, you'll not find that they're registered under UPND. You'll find that maybe the over 300 vehicles he uses for campaigns could be registered under one person or two persons. This is how the leaders secure these assets. Because sometimes when they register it to a provincial chairman or a district chairman, the district chairman defects and there's nothing you can do. You can't recover that vehicle. The vehicle may be in the name of that person. So these politicians have become wise. Over the years, they would register some of those assets under themselves or their kids or their nephews or their trusted loyalties. But these are resources used for campaigns. I just told you that how do you reach 12,150 polling stations? How do you reach 156 constituencies? How do you reach 116 districts, 10 provinces? And how do you then run around to mobilize that? That requires an outlay, financial outlay, and asset outlay like issues of vehicles and bicycles. I ask you, where are Hakainde Hichilema's vehicle registered in? Tell me. Are they registered under UPND? Of course, the answer is no. They are not. And if we're to turn up, he loses power and you go for whoever has these vehicles, they'll not be registered under Hakainde Hichilema. They'll be registered under a person and you can easily scandalize them. The law, for me, has not helped. It requires amendment because it has shifted the burden from you or from the state to you, it says you should account. All of us are willing to account, but you have rights, right to innocence, right to property. Therefore, these are constitutional provisions. Therefore, the state must prove that you have stolen. The state must prove that you've gotten this money or you've benefited from proceeds of crime. And again, they must establish that crime. This is a short route, shortcut to getting people. Sorry, I missed your call when I was talking. Please make your call today to be a short broadcast. We are not going very late, so I'm encouraging you to call now. Do not call when the program is over. Call now if you have an issue. The Electoral Process Act, I think I've warned that it's a matter. I've received communication from Mr. Rudolph Ezean, Vice President Administration and Executive Director of the Africa Bar Association. Thank you very much, Mr. Ezean. Remember, I wrote a letter of complaint that our judiciary is participating in the destruction of our democracy. I've just received a response. I'll be making a formal notice. The Patriotic Front has complained to SADC. We have complained to the Africa Bar Association. We intend to complain to the Commonwealth that the election is a process. You just don't turn up on 13th August and vote and say the elections were free and fair. It's all these things that are happening now that will determine whether the election will be free and fair. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Bamwamba Chilfia from Koshini.
Mkwaiba Chilfia Mwabombeni.
We know Mwabomba Chan.
Indita.
You've spoken about a number of things, Bamwamba, and I think I need to commend you for that. One thing I would only want to ask you is on the boy, Daliso. Him being found with 79 vehicles. When should have this been investigated? Or do you honestly think when his dad was president, he could have been investigated? Definitely not. That is, you see, that's where we've got an issue as Africans. If a crime is being committed today, it will not be investigated today. It will be investigated when there is regime change. Bamwamba, you're one person who spoke about my sister, Sylvia, and the drugs. Is that case going to be investigated today? No. Stanley Kakubo. Is that going to be investigated today? Definitely not. And anyway, on the issue of parties being funded, yes, and that's reason we have my young brother, Harry Kalawa, still thinking he's got to persist with his party. We've got what's his girl? Imboila, still thinking they've got to persist with their parties. It's because it's only true what you say. They are funded. They get money from outside. Bamwamba, I think I've given up. Chisuma.
Thank you. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
Hello, Bamwamba. How are you? This is Mwewa from Livingston.
Bamwewa, long time. Mwadi Luba. Thank you.
desubira balipe buno zo trip mafia trip moya charo. First of all, ndipo kulanda pali ne electro bill 16 and also ndipo kulanda kupa umwenso balera ngishaba UPND over tina kumona chitenge apa abafe mtu kwa Edgarungu nalanda kopana na pari kesi ya Edgarungu, and I want to suggest some witnesses be added. First, what I want to address is the ECO's demands. ECO is demanding for his last wishes to be respected. So, Indira yawa EC's Director Commission of Zambia. Where they want to treat the for me, I think apart from UPND, elections I think the chance accent. Now, just like example I said to Peramudi bill number 7, which is now in Tulo. Even on the band Bakara and Deshan in this vida, Jane Avo, Edifon Dedicated. That's why the Roba Jack Mumbuna Kangombe Wachumtasham Parliament. If you have the bill 7, of the UPND. No Kumusta Dop Jack Mumbu. So, electoral bill for me is a test on the MPs, because at first it's appointed as on bill 7, and another test has come to them because Ababantunangu like if you take money bill 7. Last right protest kwaliama judgment kukoti abantu baliranda cheche alipeka pressure ama NGO baliranda, but they fell onto 5 years, and I expect this bills bill electoral bill all over to understand from Zambian they expected that they were unfair. That brings me to another issue over the issue of Anankan. Issue about Edgarungu. Issue about Edgarungu. I'm a president serving. I advise. If I remember very well, the first vice president of Zimbabwe, he visited Zambia and he had spoken to the president. I'm sure his message was towards putting his predecessor to rest. Former president of Malawi. Bairanda, whatever direction yaba katika tayachinja bali yabayitirungu. So what I'm trying to say is that bantu abakubati ngumulebe batabomfwa bena chikuru fefyo bali fwa station pititiki. Now Edgarungu alichulire before tarafwa bali mutano kwa kuchipatara Edgarungu mfafuire. I think Zambians in Gabali understand bueno. But Edgarungu bali kwete condition ya cancer. Ile condition ya refaika every 3 months ama review.
Awe tabakwete cancer, let me clarify. Bali kwete condition which could lead to cancer. So from 2015 he had that condition that he required to be treated every 3 months.
Correction. In that condition, this is where I was coming to. In that condition, was supposed to be checked every 3 months. Every 3 months, he had an appointment with a doctor. And the Dr. Edgar Chagwarungu was delayed to go to the hospital for 3 years. condition here can review every 3 months. So White Karungu, before he died, he really suffered under the hand of these guys. Look at what is happening, first of all. There are a lot of issues that have happened, but I will just highlight the most recent one. White Karungu Saturashika, government directly okutira mubiri ufire wabawuteko. But Tasira Rungu yasiti bali bafunya mu parliament. And uko bafunya Tasira Rungu bafunisha mu parliament. The first ruling yaba neri muntu yara ndiro ko kutira ati ukate report mu parliament 2 weeks after burial. Tomba ila judgment bapangire paveso neri muntu yakwe batasira bakamure 2 weeks after burial. Nishi bara ndiro ko bati bachero. Burial richitika. Situation between Iran and clearly. We come now to what is happening to the most recent one. The vehicles that belong to the Patriot Front. This fight has been there over the Patriot Front and a strange fight over the family to aid Kashagwarum. Here, but that is where it has hammered us twice. It has hammered us on the part of the Patriot Front. Also, Amadas on the family of Dr. Edgar Chagwarum. I don't know if you are Fenyo Alungu, Uria Bantu, Shishi, and if you are Fen. For them to be exposed to such kind of conditions. I don't know. So, Bamake Zulu, everybody looks Africa. Paisa and Doko, Tumuru, Mupashawa Edgar Rungu. Katerova, and two story of Wikeshi. And this brings me to another issue where now history never at Lungu. Of course, today Mona in the way his family is being treated. But the most interesting ones, they have to buy Mona Kiriari. Munimuri court it's a Ramba Supreme Court of Africa. And this is where some quoting upon some names asking the witness their case. For that join the case, but give them the join the case, Bahari Kibanda join the case, Bakason the join the case. If possible, Mamba, Muka join the case and the others that might be to testify Kulondora story about Lungu. This is the moment to speak for him. Those that never spoke for him before he died should speak for him now when he's no more.
Thank you, Babu. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Yeah, this is Thompson Zulu.
Mr. Zulu, make your contributions.
Yes. Yes, my contribution is mostly on uniting the oppositions, the opposition political party. No, they confusion in the opposition, and people are causing confusion. We are letting them to be like that. Even people are supporting them, even endorsing them. Me, I'll go direct to the PF. Ambassador Mwamba, you're one of the candidates who applied for PF presidential presidency. But today,
have we lost the caller? Caller. Oh, this network is very difficult, especially for people calling. Yes, caller, we had lost you briefly there. Continue.
Oh, yes, because of network. I'm saying, what Honorable Mundu did actually is equally the same with what people were busy blaming Honorable Mausanga when he did that. That is total betrayal to the Patriotic Front, even to a dead man, the ones that they were claiming that is a friend, President Edgar Lungu. It is very unfair that we see such happening and people, Valelumba, It is very wrong. Even I recommend what Honorable Dr. Shitaru Chirufya, what he did, where he was saying, there's no way people should start defecting to other political parties simply because PF has got is having confusion. It is very critical for us, young people, us the youths, to have an opposition political party because we are fighting for democracy. It would be very unfair to ask the young people, if you elderly people kill this democracy that our forefathers fought for us. And we are seeing even members of the opposition killing the same democracy. Then we are blaming UPND. We know we don't want UPND. We don't want it. But the thing is that members of the opposition, they are contributing in killing the opposition. Where we are seeing these suspensions every day. Please, Ambassador, sit with your colleagues. Even the acting president of PF should stop expelling people from the party because he is also contributing in killing the opposition. We are seeing the people defecting, MPs defecting, simply because they were expelled from the party. So those MPs who defected, it's wrong, yes, for them to defect because wherever they have gone, that party is not coming back in August. So they should know to say even in August they'll be in opposition. They'll just be looting for this for 6 months. In August they'll be back in opposition. But the thing that is the truth of the matter is that we are seeking those guys to say they should form their house. They should put the house in order. Otherwise, whatever is happening, we are not supporting anything. What Honorable Mundwile did, it's wrong. And it shouldn't be supported. Whatever those suspensions they are wrongs, they shouldn't be supported. What should be supported here is unity of purpose. Those elders that are sitting to unite the opposition, please, take this, unite these people, bring Harikara, Socialist Party member, Honorable Rubin, Greyford. So far, the people have shown maturity in PF and in the opposition. It's only Honorable Chirufya and Honorable Monde. The rest is no maturity. These are people that are willing even to unite. See the way they are holding on to PM, even when the convention is being delayed. They are not retaliating, they are not doing anything. They are focusing in their campaigns. As the Zambian people, we are seeing outside, we are not members of the Patriotic Front, but we are able to see what is happening. Today we see NCP endorsing, what's the name again? Mike Bizu. It's wrong. It's wrong. That is, will not bring any political party in power without the support of the real PF. That is my submission, Ambassador.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Sorry, I just stepped out briefly. Okay. So thank you for your contribution. Let me just quickly take another call. Thank you. We are on our last leg of the program. Do you have any call to contribute to this program? We're discussing two issues: forfeiture of proceeds of Crimes Act of 2010 that has shifted the burden from the state to individuals for them to prove that the assets under seizure, under investigations is theirs. That fundamentally breaches the Constitution that guarantees your right to innocence. Number two, we're discussing political funding, that in light of this lack of political funding, you'll find that I can tell you that even Daliso's vehicles could be among those vehicles for, the father must have mobilized for the party. Remember, that's why Sishua said, if you wanted to convict and grab these vehicles, why didn't you get the testimony of the late president on this matter? Because from the beginning, he had said it very clearly that they should ask him where he got the vehicles and the assets. Hello,
Everybody na bora bamwamba
party.
I was not trying to mute the other gadget.
Okay.
Ile mbwesha pano bamwamba actually that don't alliance na PF. Ile actually mbwesha pano because not kwata kwa crisis panono that we must accept. Abama guys bapanga tonse yanyu which is being led by Babran. Na yambo kuta dismantle amana ngama structures ya PF around the country. So now abengi bale bachita convince muma explanation hii yako itaripanga sana na sense if you look at it. Aba ili timu ya Babran mundu bile lirando ko kuta PF yarifwa. PF takwaba. Nomba bamamba I think namuna ramiro mbako mushiteko for educate na abantu the concept of tolerance abantu bachita understand. For me I can describe to say concept of tolerance ya kwa ni garage kula senda mu femi yotoka mulefo kwepya naenda ngafira twale kupeta okay to emission CP motoka twabwera nayo mutawa matabo mfeshe FDD motoka kasa matabo mfeshe FDD motoka so mula mutonserance mulya amafunde apango teti mutamfye ba PF nangu panono. Now turenda pali unity in opposition and then look at what Mr. Brian Mundure and his team are doing now. They have even started attacking now even the party directory. The party yakoba they have apelina ma adoption certificates. Now when abale mnakwati na kali mubalero ama PF ama leaders ba PF bali kumulta balero ama PF ba leaders bali kumulta ama leaders balero ama Zambians. That's what they must understand. Everyone else now we are crying for unity in opposition. And then you look at now the behavior that Mr. Brian and his team are doing. Are they the only ones that are in a hurry to get a presidential candidate? What about these other candidates who applied on PF ticket? When atabachererwe bali ndeshita kufena age ama structures countrywide kwevo that tend konke PF ya chiri wasa PF ya iri dinga balungu nga twalichindike balungu ngefe turekrema tend chindike abantu balungu basalire pali ya ma positions. We cannot claim to have loved Edgar Lungu if your map point is bakwe tatuleba pero mchange na just submit bamwamba.
Thank you very much. Bamwewa, we are discussing two issues, but Bamwewa wants to discuss the issue of Tonse. Today we are not discussing Tonse, we are discussing the two issues I tabled. Hello caller, please tell us your name and where you are calling us from. Yo, tulifia ba mtende.
Okay. Nevo Chanda.
Landen po ba Chanda.
Okay. Mwendiri ya ishaba ya Kadan Surungu yesterday. I saw umfatano obuwi. Bana sa mbokton tongano kwebati. Uyu dali so aliku South Africa. Balero okushika abafyashi babo abali ba president beso. Ratasira na yena alikuwa yakwenda ku South Africa balero problem emoyene. Nomba so ficho ndo for understand sana. Chintu chakwe bati balero kwe bati balefwa ya bode abalungwira bakayisende bakete ishika kuno. Wifona azabene fa baleranda. Nomba umuntu umfama mtende board yumulefo kurangisha love. Yakwa mrefu ambise mushikaze former president. Batabana bakuku barerira bachuti mureba kafya barerira ku chuti bareba kafya. Bamariza soko Tanzania shantu bashani. Because umuntu ruze wabanga umufyashi. Kula bako kali akamse ka kumfyasha bato ku mwana. Nangute mwana batwari bako kali afi kala ka watu mnanikani. So ngamona ngarosha my behavior yamo. It's like yaranga nefa bamutima wa muntu. So abantu bari ku South Africa barabamumba barafwa kafe kula bapepera ko sana no kubakoseresha because every pita momesho because you cannot cry for the corpse ya muntu wapatile otawali fire now that is dead urefu amando taking a charge utakuwa vipi bamumba na totera sana we.
Thank you very much. We'll be taking the last calls before we go. Today we're discussing these two items. The Electoral Process Bill of 2025 and the issues are around the forfeiture of proceeds, Daliso's assets. And I was demonstrating that in the absence of financing, a law regulating financing, you will have difficulties. The same assets that are on the side of Edgar Lungu, you find him that the same assets are available and donated on the other side of Hakainde Hichilema. That's how the game works. Until you regulate it, you are going to have these challenges. So callers, these were the two items we're discussing. Unless you have something burning, I'll be closing the program. It's not every day that we should go on for 3 hours. Let's have a discussion before I go, if you have something to contribute to. Yes, caller, please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Hello, good evening, Ambassador.
Good evening.
This is Mr. Mwera calling from Lusaka.
Mr. Mwelwa, make your contributions.
Thank you, Ambassador. Ambassador, I really fail to understand the reasoning of the people in government, and more especially the advisors to the president. I've said so because the government is trying to negotiate with the Lungu family to bring ECL's body to Zambia. And on the other hand, they are busy grabbing properties from the ECL family. So is the government really serious in its dealings? Okay, we are not against the probing of the ECL family, but the timing is bad. Why can't they first end the ECL barrel impasse and thereafter start dragging them to the courts of law? Bamwamba, we are really failing to understand how these guys are reasoning. And Bamwamba, sorry for me to say this. I always blame the Bemba and the Chiwa chiefs. Look at the way Chief Mukuni struggled and suffered when HH was in prison. He really showed love for his subject. But now, Bamwamba, look at the way GBM suffered when he was in prison. As if he's not coming from the Lubemba lineage. The Munirubemba chief, he failed to help the subject. Back to the ECO case. We have chiefs like Mpezeni, Kalindawalo, Gawaundi. They are all just watching as if things are okay. I really fail to understand our chiefs. And for Chief Mukuni, since he seems to have he seems to have that passion for the country, and also it's like he is interested in the well-being of each and every Zambian. Let him advise the president and the government to say, you people, why can't you let the family, the Lungu family, bury ECL in the way they feel is dignified? Other people have tried, people like VJ and other public figures have tried to advise, but it's like they've all failed. But perhaps if chiefs can team up and approach our president and the government, maybe the president can listen to the chiefs. That's my submission, Ambassador. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I'm taking your last calls before we close. Make your call. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Thank you, Bamwamba. This is Sinyangwe Dani. I just want to make a contribution on the issue of the ECL family, and my appeal is to statesmen like Venevano Mwanga, the Dr. Nevers Mumba of this world. Can they refrain from speaking on things that are not in support of the Lungu family? The Lungu family, just like Madam Kapwepwe said, they are the owners of the body and they are the owners of this funeral. So let's not start making it look like the Lungu family do not know what they are doing. We have to encourage the Lungu family for what they have gone through, and then we all know who's behind holding the body of the Lungu family. Because we are trying to blame the family like they have anything to gain when they are the ones who have lost their loved ones. They are the ones who have been persecuted, even when their father said to say, look, you are trying to persecute my children. I'm the one that you're looking for. Persecute me. He openly said that. So today, I just want to advise, especially these adult praise singers, can you please stop making statements and making the Lungu family look like they are the bad people? And you've lost your loved one. Tien tukwate uluse tule pepela na family yaba Lungu, so that whatever they have gone through, not a single person in this country should ever go through this. Because up to now, we don't know why they are holding on to the body. Thank you, Bamwamba, and God bless Zambia. Let's continue praying for the Lungu family.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Hello.
Hello, please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Hello, Bamwambani, my name is Leslie. I know you've reduced the time to 3 hours. Yeah, anyway, Bamwamba, chabulanda sana, elona mashuwa yengi mwandi ntetu tukwate pa di idiri ashidiaba President Besu Balungu, abe nefe balesa, tubike fefionse mabuko ya balesa, efo ningalanda she mwandi ni Bamwamba, Lelo, chingu chumacho ndefu Uganda. I just want to contribute on, my feelings and my concern, because all has been said and heard. Yeah, we've been sort of like talking to one another, giving information, and we've all been talking about the same thing, pleading, but nothing has come up, where one would say, well, we have reached now this stage, a good stage. It's every day, it's a different story. Amate naya kamamkanwa. Number here now, it's about changing our thoughts and also our lives, Bamwamba. Let me put it clear. As for now, you leaders, including Naimove Bamwamba, because you are our leader, I think you have to, consciously start identifying negative matters, that are affecting the country and replace them with growth, oriented perspectives. This is what I think. Rather than fighting amongst yourselves, yes. Because you see, other things we know very well that this has been going on for a long time, more especially for our 8 months. That number of monefio opposition, we have no one to blame apart from you, simply because you are our leaders, and your guidance is needed, We do rely so much on you to pave a clean way, in your governance. And I'm very worried. I'm a very worried and sad citizen. Even yesterday I tried, to give through my thoughts. We have a purpose to live, Bamwamba. And suffering is one of the painful things to experience as we are living. The question you leaders need to bear in your minds is only one. What is it that is prompting me to become a leader of 20 million people? Yeah. Okay? And am I capable of looking after my people to sustain them. Yeah. Another thing which is also so important, you have always to think about the economy, because our economy is just gone completely down. You have also to think, am I able to boost the economy so that my people can benefit? Yeah, people can receive education, not only academically. Here we are talking about also morally and spiritually, Bamwamba. These are all fundamental importance. Ekintu kimwe ky'omuviro okulayibukishefi. Yeah. Ukujula Bamwamba, chibi pachalo. You know, Bamwamba, let me talk for myself. Some of us, with our good education, that I acquired in Zambia, even though I didn't go to university, but, I could be maybe someone who could offer something good in Zambia. I've ended up being elsewhere in search of a better life. Yeah? What I'm doing here, Bamwamba, could simply be done back home in my country, if the situation was better than today. The problem is the suffering is what has driven us to other countries. Bamwamba, I'm not ashamed to say I'm a cleaner. I'm a cleaning woman. I clean houses. And they pay me more than I could get in Zambia. I earn good money, even to help my siblings. For how long, Bamwamba? For how long? You need to put this country, to something better where everyone could say we are in our country and we should come back and live there and work there and do everything.
Mayo, Natasha Sana. Uchalo Mayo, we have to correct the country. Thank you. We have to correct that country. Thank you very much. And thank you for your passion for our country. I always commend you, the love you demonstrate for our country, and I love your contribution. That is why even when you call late, because maybe you were on a train and you were listening but you couldn't call, I always ensure that I pick your call because I know the passion you have for our country. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
I will remain anonymous, and I'm just calling from outside.
Yes, anonymous.
Yes. It's really worrisome looking at the things that is being done by the government. How do they think of removing the official mark on the ballot paper? Who does that? So to me, all these things, they are being done because they want to distract, disorient the opposition so that you shift your focus to this while they are doing this. So my advice is remain steadfast as opposition. Just focus on your goal. What is your goal? Just focus on what do you want to achieve. Because I can foresee Kuntashi Bakesa Mukusekati opposition village Tanachite Chokobatwalaman. Me, I was busy playing Ningalato. The way he was mocking Ama MPs in a Bill 7. So this man cannot be trusted. When Jesus told the Pharisees that you do the works of your father, who is a devil in whom there is no truth, that is the kind of person we are dealing with. There is no truth in him. So please, by opposition, remain focused on your goal. Just go underground and strategize. How are we going to do this? To me, Nangwashte delimitation is the same people, the same Zambians who are angry with them. So wherever they will take them, they'll still make their decision because Zambians have already decided. So all these, they're just wasting their time and also trying to disorient you as opposition. So remain focused. Don't you lose your focus. Just go underground and strategize how you're going to counteract all this they are doing.
God bless you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. We are Kumatero. We want to take your last calls and then we close the program. Thank you for your contributions to be on top of the hour. If you have a call, let's call quickly so that we Hello, caller, please tell us your name. I'm taking the last two calls. Hello, caller, please tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
Good evening, highly decorated ambassador.
Good evening, my dear brother.
Mine is, I've got two concerns this evening. The first one is selective way of prosecuting people and the way they formed a court specifically to jail opponents. What we have seen in this past 1 month, we've seen a Livingston mayor who was facing a corruption case being acquitted, and later on we saw acquittal on Edgar Chagwalungu's advisor, who is from Southern Province, as from his region, and the latest one is been the orphan, the Lungu South Daliso. Looking at the amount of money and the corruption issue it's concerned, it is very petty. A son of a president cannot fail to own a house that we've been seeing around on social media. It is a shame that this witch hunt should come to an end. It's just a disgrace, because the same news I saw it on an international news. And when you look at the comments the foreign other people were making on those countries, they were laughing at us, like to say that I don't know what they are calling it. If it's lamb shack of a house, a son of a president can fail to own it, a feeding station. It's just a joke. And my second one is on electoral reforms. I'm appealing to all opposition leaders, to those who are going to bed with UPND, to those that are very stubborn, and to those that are not doing what is right. What has happened to Zimbabwe, where term limit has removed for a president, it is also coming to Zambia, if you don't know. If you keep on playing this game of saying, no, me, I'm the one who is anointed, I've got money, I'm on the ground, I'm telling you, if you fail to take opportunity this time around to remove Akainde Ichirema, there will be no another chance. There will be more reforms that will be coming that will disadvantage you to come and take over as a president. This is your last shot you can take. Here you hear us talking on your behalf. We will not even have a time to talk on your behalf because we'll be cramped. So we don't want people who will be joking around. We want people who want to organize this country and take a lead this time. There will never be another election besides this one. I think you can see from all electoral reforms that are happening, you vote, you go home, and other things that are coming up, like ECZ will have power to disqualify a political party. What if UPND wants to disqualify a political party for it to be so popular? They will just decide like they don't want to go to election with you. They will just wake up and say, disqualify this political party. Zalomes is the UPND. Nobody doesn't know this. So, Bamwamba, tell these people that are aspiring for August election, tell them to be serious. This is the only election, and this is our last election to say. There will never be an election coming forth. That's the reason they've been saying no, Bali 2090. So they don't know the meaning of that up to now. Bamwamba, I can go on and on speaking about. Let me briefly touch even on the body of our president. The most the most powerful man in Zambia, Edgar Chagwa Lungu, who has suffered punishment in death, as described by Vice President on the floor of the House, to say, do you want us to defeat the one we defeated also in death? I think this has been described as they are fighting a person in death equally today. It's not just about denying him a burial. I think they equally want to defeat him in death, as stated by Vice President on the floor of the House. People, let's have morals. The family gives them the light they have, the light they deserve. Let them bury their loved father, the protector, who has been protecting them. Now they are vulnerable. You see how much now you are abusing them. And there is a caller who spoke about statesmen. No, let the statesmen. The previous caller, let me tell you this, my brother. There is no statesmanship in Pastor Nevas Mumba. Sorry to say this. If that man was really a statesman, by now we would have been having a very good president, and we would have a very good Zambia. Look how much is misreading our president on so much things and bitterness about his MMD, and how MMD has gone to no existence anymore. He has been blaming PF up to now. This is not a man who qualifies to be called a statesman. That man, you can only send him to be a praise singer. Who he is? He has failed church. He has failed his job.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you. Let me take this call. Let me take the last call. You have made your contributions. Thank you very much. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Hello, Ambassador Ramwamba, and never anonymous.
Anonymous, make your contribution.
Why? Never feel quick shall go to body 50 of former president. If we were Zababa Kalam, Bawo Twitter, the Paramount Chiefs. Tawakwata Kwama meeting in Kawaii Kalafidia. Takwa meeting your Weka Valanda Popadi 15 sticker. So that Batwa Frishako, Pediashava Etika, so that Idiashi, Yapita to Alavako. Nefi Tikefia, Daddy, Soma Moto, Kainshi, whatever. That is the Rokuisa Punch, you know. Tulelomba kwa machifu because the ningu fati abantu na balanda abantu balanda bana kabantu na matea kama apechi shere po machiefs ba mupezeni balitunga nusu kurumbu na fati ba mupezeni ba chief northern province kukasama ba even ba chief ba balozi na bena bafuire babapo bose machifu bayikatana balanda so that bayidiga lungu bashikwa ero nomba ma politics yako nkanyapo.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And I think that was our last caller. Dear viewers, thank you very much and thank you for your contributions. You make the program, you make the sacrifice, says worth it. God bless you. We'll see you tomorrow.
Ever be tempted to defect. No one should ever think that plan B kupange palifimbe no kusela. Chwava nkupikirwa kumo ekipani tulelanda po ocho tulefo okuteka okupoko utungulu chipani chambile na wasata chawa no mpashi washika chipani washirire warungu ekipani ndelanda po ekipani chama kudita chama illegal conferences no chipani chashimpire wa Michael Chifesata ichi chipani itachakafwe takuli court ikepa ichi chipani kashi fyose file chitika fya matololo fye ushikukesa elo chipani ichi chikaba fye efo chifuilo kuba kashi tuitere ntententa tuitana mapirikiti kula pange fpani no kula shite fya pisana nishita ya kuikatana no kumona kutila the due process takes effect, and we just increase the aggression in terms of fighting to get the legal status of the party back. I emphasize Mr. Yakwe Katana. That's why I do not support any measures that promote disunity. If you're the Lombok Tila, we look at the common.
We want change. We want change. We want change. We want change. We want a change.
The sound magician. Wi-Fi on the beat, boy.
Twakupele votinga tawa bomba Twakupele votinga tawa bomba Tawali mone votinga tawa bomba Tawali mone votinga tawa bomba Pantuno mwaka Uya bebele Twanakane mwe Mwachila mobufi Uya bebele Twawalele numa Uya bebele Mwalitula ile ona lebwati mukesa tupangira kwemisebo Twali mipele neboti ati mukesa tupangira kwemisebo Nimwewo mwatile mukesa tukulira nechipatala ifwe Nimwewo mwatile mukesa tukulira na masukulu kuno Ukutula potwa misalila ifwe Mwalitula baona lebo Imisebo ala ya yonaika Ichipatala takwaba kuno Abana besu basambirila mufimu chifyamanzo Bana mayo mapapira mungande zipatala takwaba kuno Imisepila chose malofwa bapepa vyebange Fama lelilo mufunda tawafika Nembuto tashafika Ukutula potwa misalila ifwe Mwalitula baona lebo Nomba lelo mabwela imwe Mulefwa ya tumivotere Twakupele votinga tawa bomba Twakupele votinga tawa bomba Tawali mone votinga tawa bomba Tawali mone votinga tawa bomba Pantuno mwaka Uya bebele Twanakane mwe Mwachila mobufi Uya bebele Akwawalele numa Uya bebele Mwachila mobufi Uno mwaka tulefa ya bakutubombera Nocha bakwisa kuno mukuzembereka Mukutwibira mano nga twabavotera abaya Nangu mwatupele ndalama tulepo kata twanivotere Nidonti kubeba Wapoka waya Nidonti kubeba Wapoka waya Ababina chimwe na mwekole Uko bafuma balinaba Bayi kutapiza Bala moko bafuma Bayi kutapai Bala bati bakabwela Baja chikini nena mabanu inapana kaso Wala ona lebo mula veja Ukutula kwa kwa misalila ifwe Walitula baona lebo Nomba lelo mabwela imwe Mulefwa ya tumivotere Twakupele votinga tawa bomba Twakupele votinga tawa bomba Tawali mone votinga tawa bomba Tawali mone votinga tawa bomba Pantuno mwaka Uya bebele Twanakane mwe Mwachila mobufi Uya bebele Akwawalele numa Uya bebele Mwachila mobufi